right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is the show where every episode we talk about some new comics in the past, week and a half, 2 weeks or so, and we let you know what we thought about them, if we enjoyed them, or if we ended up thinking they were quite bad. This week is it's definitely a little bit of a smaller week. Again, we're talking about the comics from May 29th, which is the 5th week of last month. 5th weeks of the month are always. Generally, they're like almost always very, very light comparatively to the rest of the month. So it is a bit of a lighter haul. Sebastian is sick today, so if he sounds a little bit more low energy, that is probably why. And also, just little quick thing right at the start here up front. This is episode 49. We will not be here. We're taking the next 2 weeks, taking a break the next 2 weeks from the podcast. I am going out of town, so we're gonna take a couple weeks off. We will be back talking about talking about comics from June 19th is the next week that we're going to be covering.
Yes.
So it's going to be a couple weeks off, but we'll be back kind of midway through June to keep on doing the show. So without any further ado, some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today includes stuff like some more Blood Hunt stuff, a Power Girl tie-in to House of Brainiac, World Tree, Ultimate Spider-Man, they're both this week, but we're going to start out with the big conclusion to Avengers Twilight this week. This is Avengers Twilight number 6. It is the finale of the series from Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Acuna, the writer and artist, respectively. So, first of all, I just right off the bat, fantastic finale. I think this is a great way to end the series. This series, I think, has been just all around a really, really just great across the board series for Marvel. And I think actually this is going to be one of those ones that I think is going to be very much looked back on in 10, 20, 30, 40 years as like a classic from this period of comics. I think you can very easily fit all this into a trade and just have that. And I think this has a very long shelf life. I think, this is going to continue to be a story, much in the way that we look back at like Kingdom Come or The Dark Knight Returns, any of those kind of classic books from the 80s, 70s, 90s, that period. I think this is going to be looked at in the same way that a lot of those other stories are looked at now. So this one picks up. We're still in the brawl. We're in the big brawl between Cap and the Red Skull. And also Hulk is here now as well. He has been dropped onto the city. And so pretty immediately, Thor ends up getting into a big fight with him and ends up taking him out of Washington, D.C. To go and try and keep him away from civilians and everything in a place where the damage will be the least prominent. This ultimately ends up ending with him killing Hulk by putting Mjolnir on his chest while he's at the bottom of a lake until Hulk suffocates. There's a very brief moment where Bruce kind of regains control and asks Thor to kill him. Then on the other side of things, back at DC, we have again the fight's going on. Everybody's there. Everybody's doing stuff. I will say I maybe would have liked to see a little bit more of like Kamala and the new Hawkeye in this issue because they're kind of not around. And with this being the final issue, it would have been kind of nice to have them kind of play a more prominent role in this issue. But at the same time, I get why they're not, because this is ultimately really it's Captain America and it's Tony Stark's story. And I think they needed to make sure that those conclusions worked. And in this one, we realized that actually the Wasp is alive and has been for a long time. She was like just kept in a ring for some reason or something.
Yeah, not too much explaining going on there, really. It was just
it
was like a ring that he gave to his son, that Tony gave to his son, and I guess the Wasp was like in there, but like I'm gonna say like a deep sleep type situation, I wanna say.
Yeah.
Really. It's
kind of like it actually plays very much like how the Flash used to have like his ring, his suit and his ring. It kind of plays like that, where she just pops out and she's in full Wasp form and she's all big and everything. She's like the giant man version of the Wasp. And so we also have at that point after that, James, Tony's son, kind of ends up being like, oh God, what the fuck? Like I'm working with the Red Skull. Like what the hell?
Yep.
He kind of snaps out of it. And then there's still like a nuke heading towards them though. So Tony ends up flying it into space and sacrificing himself to save everybody else. And then Cap ends up beating the Red Skull down on Earth. And then we have a scene as well where Thor asked Odin, who's in Valhalla, to let Tony and Bruce into Valhalla as well. So they hang out there at the end of the issue. So that's kind of, I think, mostly the gist of it. It is kind of still a lot of a big brawl kind of thing. So, in terms of plot stuff, there's not quite as much to discuss. However, I do think very solid conclusion for the book. I think it was, again, a very strong series overall. And I think this one wraps it up in a way that feels like it fits this series very well for the most part. I am glad that there were some casualties. I think it would have been in this, future of the Marvel Universe, it would have felt, I think, strange if there weren't any. It is a little bit kind of sappy at the end with Tony and Bruce being there, but I think also at the same time, after the whole like insane events of this future, I think it does also it is nice to see these characters get some bit of rest and be able to go and relax after all of their horrible last like 20 years that they spent in this universe. So I think while it's a little bit over the top, maybe a little bit, it didn't ultimately bother me or make me like the issue less. I think it was, and I think that scene itself was written well enough. So ultimately, yeah, again, just a very strong series throughout. This has been a very great one. I will be pretty surprised if this, by some miracle, is not on my top 10 comics of the year by the end of the year when we do our year-end list. So, yeah, just a very, very strong book all around and a very good conclusion to that series as well.
No, yeah, this one is hands down one of my favorite comic series to date. The scary thing about like miniseries, and we see it quite often, is that the endings are usually, they feel rushed, because they always try to pack in too much, like so much to try and like include it within this short time frame. This one did not feel like that at all. Like I felt like everything wrapped up very, very neatly. It didn't feel rushed in any way, like shape or form, which I really liked. And like you said, I'm glad that there was some casualties in the end, on the hero's side at least, not like this whole big like repeating of like H-Day type thing, but like to the point where they're like they can show the heroes are showing that they are trying to help the world by defeating what is realistically like the biggest evil, and for them to never not come out of it like scot-free or whatever, right? Like because like Tony died, Cap like kind of almost dies, I want to say.
Bruce died, even though he wasn't
died.
like working with them.
Yeah,
during the series, but still,
he was controlled. He was being mind controlled, essentially. Or at least the Hulk was.
Yeah.
And so he essentially had to go. And yeah, I'd say this was really good in terms of wanting more Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, like I feel like we've gotten like what we did get of them. I felt like was enough, especially the one where Cap was trying to bring Miss Marvel in. I didn't miss her in this one. Like she appeared here and there, like both of them did, but it wasn't to the point where I was like, damn, I really wish I got more of them.
Sure.
Like I was like plenty happy with where they had left off, especially towards the end. You could see Tony's son, what's his name?
Yeah.
James. He decides to rebuild, I think it's Avengers Mansion, right?
It is, yeah.
And at the end, he wants to do it by himself, but at the end of it, you see Miss Marvel and the Hawkeye go up to him and basically be like, listen, like, we know you want to do this by yourself, but it'll turn out better if we do it as a team. Yeah. And so it's like kind of rebuilding like that whole Avengers, the new Avengers, essentially. So I thought overall, everything about this was just closed off perfectly. Like they put a wrap on the old Avengers, introduced some new Avengers in the process, and everything just I felt wrapped up really well and neatly, and I really loved everything about this series. So yeah, I'd have to give this one easily a 9.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a 9 as well. This is maybe my pick of the week. Let me just double check this other one here.
I'd have to say it is for me. I don't think I'm
going to go with it for this one. This is my second favorite of the week, but I think there is one that's gonna beat this one out. But I do think also to your point about like it not feeling rushed. I agree, and I also think that's evident in the fact that a lot of times when series are coming up on their end, you and I are often saying, like, how the fuck are they going to put all this, like, wrap all this up in the last issue? I don't remember once having that thought for any of the series. I don't think we ever mentioned that. Like, it felt very, very well paced out the whole thing, so that when you got to the start of this issue, it did feel very believable that it could all be wrapped up in this issue. And I think that is a testament to Chip's talent here. I wish his Batman was this good, but
honestly, yeah. Let's talk about Flash.
Okay, this is the Flash #9, written by Simon Spurrier, and the artist is Ramon Perez and Vasco Georgiev. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you if you liked this one, because I think this series is getting better.
Okay.
And I think this issue is not bad. Yeah, because I think there's some answers that are starting to be fed to us that clear some things up. Not everything.
Finally, yes. But I will say, thank Christ we're finally getting fucking answers. Because Jesus Christ, if we just kept piling on shit after shit, like, Jesus Christ, man, I don't know how much more you can expect me to just, like, really just be like, what the fuck's going on? We got a little bit of answers, yeah. We figured out why Barry's been so weird, essentially. Yeah. Which is basically that, like, it was Eobard got, like, placed into Barry's mind or something like that.
I don't know if 100% it's Eobard, because he also does say the other names like Hunter Zolomon and whatever, but it's Reverse Flash at any rate.
It's reverse. Okay, yeah. No, so not Eobard specifically, but it's Reverse Flash that was put into his mind. Which I guess there are multiple of Reverse Flashes. So yeah,
I don't know which one it is, but
yeah, I think it's just like a conglomerate of like all of them.
It probably is, yeah.
Reverse Flash or whatever. But it wasn't just him. It was like also this like wizard dude that's like in the background or whatever. Abracadabra.
Oh, Abracadabra. Okay. Oh, so he didn't have anything to do with Barry. He's the reason that Linda's been acting off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's why, like, and that actually made a lot more sense to me now looking back at it as well, because you go back to that first issue, Grodd is there and he's like, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your divorce, Wally. And Wally's like, what divorce? And he's like, oh yeah, sorry, upcoming divorce. And so at the time, right, I kind of thought that he was just like, he just knew things from the future. But no, it's like he's actually been fucking with Barry the whole time with Abracadabra and like planting those seeds in his head to like throw him off his game while Abracadabra is going and like fucking with Linda and making her like distant and everything, so that Wally then kind of ends up feeling separated from everybody and ends up being in this weird, you know, the garden, Eden, wherever you call it, whatever they call it in this, where he's becoming like one of the stillness because he's just kind of losing himself. So that made a lot of sense to me when that all kind of put the whole lot of stuff into place at once.
Okay. Yeah, so like I understood the Barry part, right? I now that you mentioned, I do remember that it was Abracadabra messing with Linda, and so that part made sense when she like started snapping out of it, and she was like, Iris for me as well was acting a little weird in this one. I don't know.
Yeah, she was just like, I mean, I kind of get it. Like she knows Barry very well, and she's not like he's actually gonna, you know, kill them. And also she does make a good point where she's like, Barry was like, you guys have to run, like Reverse Flash is in my brain, and she's like, dude. Like, you could catch up with us in, like, a millisecond. There's no point in running. If you're going to kill us, you're going to kill us no matter what, so.
Yeah, like, that part, like, that made sense to me, but at the same time, I'm like, she's, like, not that she's, like, acting calm about it, because, like you said, like, she knows Barry, like, well enough at this point, but, like, to the point where she's just, like, I don't know, she's just, like, I don't know if unconcerned, just doesn't.
Very blasé. She's like, whatever.
She just doesn't like she doesn't even, like, try to help or anything. I feel like, I don't know, you know, like, she's just, like, super just, like, disconnected with that whole she's just like, Linda, how are you, you know? How's Wally, you know? I know things are weird right now. It's just like, well, Barry's just like running around this playground like flipping out of his mind, like it was just like, I was just like, what am I looking at right now? It's super weird. What else? We got a bit of a talk with Wally and Dick in this one as well. Basically it was like Wally was basically like, it was to do with the statues that Dix was constantly like Wally would turn it around, but it would constantly turn back around.
Right.
And so he's like, I don't know who you are, but like we have to have some sort of connection if your statue keeps turning around. And they have a bit of a heart-to-heart type thing. And then big reveal at the end. With we finally learned who Inspector Pilgrim is.
Yeah. For a second, I thought it was going to be Wally. That's where I thought it was going.
Honestly thought it was too.
Yeah.
Honestly thought it was too, but it's not. It's Wally's son.
It's another one of the Flash kids.
Another son, not Jai. It's not Jai.
Nope, it's not Jai.
The baby. It's Wade.
Yep.
Besides that, we didn't get much else with Wally besides the whole dick thing. So not much progressed on Wally's bit. But we got a lot more into Barry and kind of what's happening on Earth and really what Inspector Pilgrim's plan is too. Because at first he was told. I don't remember who told him. I don't remember if he said it too.
It was probably one of the Rhodes posing as a cosmic being.
Okay. Yeah. So he was told to basically destroy all speedsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with him being Wade, obviously he knows most of the speedsters. So instead of
he's related to half of them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of killing them, he's capturing them to figure out what he can do.
Yeah.
And so now we know why he's capturing them and why he needs all the speedsters. We don't know why they are possibly destroying the multiverse, I think, or whatever.
I'm not even sure if they are destroying the multiverse or if it's just the Rhodes are trying to make them think that.
Okay. Well, because I don't know. Last issue we had all those natural disasters and stuff all around the world. And
but we did see that at least some of those were caused by the Rhodes.
Yes. Man, see, this is where it's getting all confusing, man. This is all too convoluted for me.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There might only be 3 issues of this series left.
Oh my god, for real?
I'm not positive on that, but the issue number 12 is kind of giving final issue vibes. We don't know for a fact. And actually, the writer, Cy Spurrier, has said, he has plans for 2 years worth of stories in this run, which would be about 24 issues. But it is also possible that DC is pulling the plug on it, and this is just kind of where it's wrapping up. So I don't know, but I have no idea if this is actually the last issue or not. But it very well could be. I think there's a possibility that it will be.
I don't know, man. On a whole, I do appreciate that it was pretty straightforward for the most part. It was this one. I felt like he explained it very well, what actually was happening. With the whole Reverse Flash being in Barry's mind. Abracadabra, actually, that's why Linda was being so weird. And then kind of pulling everything together as to why Inspector Pilgrim has been doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I feel this one was a good coverall of just bringing everything together and just being okay, this is actually what's why everything's kind of happening. We still don't know everything, but it fills in a lot of fucking holes to the point where it's just you can actually kind of read it and be okay, now this is all making sense. But there's still there's still some holes here and there.
Yeah.
So overall, would I still pick this up? Honestly, no. At this point, I've hated it long enough to just be I want it to end.
Yeah.
But overall, this one I didn't mind too much. It felt slower paced in a way. It didn't just throw everything at you all at once to try and be throwing just literal shit at you, just that makes no sense in general. So yeah, this one I didn't mind that much overall, but still just don't enjoy this series.
I think you've covered a lot of the bases. I do I think this is pretty good. I do think this pulls together a lot of stuff in a way that does feel meaningful. And I think that's good. And I think the answers that we get, they make sense. I don't know, again, how much I love how seemingly tied into the Rhodes it is. I hope there's still more of that cosmic weirdness stuff that was kind of around in the first couple issues. But from a perspective of bringing these together and giving some answers, I think it works. I also really like how Barry kind of ended up fighting back against Reverse Flash at the end, where he just kicks him out and he's like, yeah, thanks for telling me your whole fucking plan, man. I'm the Flash. I have been able to kick you out whenever I want to. I just haven't because I'm getting your plan. So thanks for that, and now get out of my head. I think that was cool. I think that was a good little moment there. So yeah, I think generally this is one of the, I don't know if it's one of my favorite issues of the run, but it is it's definitely one of the easier ones to kind of actually kind of wrap your head around and comprehend. I ended up giving this one a 7. So not amazing. I prefer the annual to this for sure, but I think this one was solid enough, I think.
I actually also gave it a 7.
There we go. See, Sebastian, it's not this series isn't so bad. It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's great. This is literally because I am looking to make some cuts to my pull list. The Flash is pretty much the only DC book that I am absolutely not considering cutting. And I don't know why that is. Like, even like Superman and like Green Lantern and Birds of Prey, I'm like, I could drop those, but Flash, I'm like, no, I'm sticking with it. I'm gonna read all of this.
At this point, we're too invested in the mystery.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's been resolved. We gotta know.
Okay, I'm gonna go and talk about World Tree here real quick. This is World Tree number 10. Sebastian could not find any image books this week, so I'm gonna be going solo on the 3 image books that I read. So as always, this is written by James Tinian IV, and the artist is Fernando Blanco. So this is here. We've talked about this before. This series has a bad habit of having these really insane, like cool and engaging cliffhangers that make me really excited to read the next issue, only for it to then kind of ignore the cliffhanger and just do something different. This is pretty much no exception. This one, but to be fair, here's the thing. I have realized with this issue, and I should have realized this way earlier probably, but this arc is not as concerned with moving stuff forward in the present. This is more about filling in the gaps of what happened with World Tree the first time, and how that whole process went down, how they beat the Undernet the first time. It is much less concerned about the present day stuff. So like this one, we see more of Gabriel's efforts to kind of prevent the Undernet from coming back, because they have, at this point, I think they've taken it down by this point. But so he's hiring a bunch of people. He now has like his own tech company, and he's hiring people to try and come up with ideas to make sure that the Undernet either stays gone, or if I don't remember for sure if they actually have beaten it. So if they haven't, then them trying to take it down currently, or just to make sure it doesn't come back. So through this, we find out this is where we get back to Ellison and Fausta in the cabin with Ellison's siblings. So which we didn't see last issue. And so we have more of that, and it turns out that one of the people that Gabriel hired was Ellison's sister Asimov, who goes by Azzy, and so she was working for him. He kind of brings them in as like a thought experiment kind of thing, where he tells all of them like, "Hey, let's pretend there's this evil internet. It's called the Undernet. We'll call you guys World Tree for the sake of this game we're doing here." And so they kind of they kind of keep proposing ideas and all this stuff, and that's how we ultimately. It turns out that Gabriel, I think, is the one who sent the Undernet link to Ellison's brother, who killed all the people at the start of the series, as like a way to try and see like what's going on that side of it, if that's how the Internet's kind of spreading, and kind of how to stop it on that side. And so as he ended up quitting like before that even happened, because he proposed it while she was still working there. And she's like, "That's fucked. No, we're not going to do that." But then he ended up doing it anyway. So that's I think that's most of that side of it. And then the other side of it is back over with Fear. Silk is down. I don't really know what's going on with her right now, but she's down. And the Undernet is back on Fear's phone. And there's like an Undernet dog that's there, and it's going around and killing a bunch of people in the police station. And then that guy that was following Silk for the past couple issues, he pops up. He's got a gun. He's like, "All right, we're gonna fucking take these things down." And that's kind of what I remember of it. There might be more stuff that I'm missing. I don't remember if it was like a big cliffhanger or anything. I don't think there's quite as much of an insane cliffhanger in this issue as there have been for the past like 3 or 4. But yeah, I mean, listen, again. On one hand, it is a little bit frustrating the amount of times that we do this dance of like big cliffhanger and then kind of just ignore it. But at the same time, again, that also shows how much of like a testament it is to Tinian's writing, that it is still so engaging. Like the dialogue, the characters are all still very, very engaging. I think the backstory with the Undernet, I get why it's here. I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing. It's not like super engaging, but I think it's fine. And I understand why they want to fill out that backstory. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping that the next issue provides a good conclusion to the arc here. It does seem to be that it's actually we're getting like a definitive confrontation between Silk and Fear in the next issue. I'm hoping that the issue is a better conclusion to this arc than I felt like the first conclusion to the first arc was. But we're gonna have to wait and see. That next issue is out on June 26th. So for now, we're just gonna have to speculate. But as far as this issue goes, it was good, perfectly. Again, like I don't think this series has really had a really like actual bad issue. Just kind of one that's I think are okay every now and then. So I'm gonna give us an 8. It's still solid, but I'm hoping that the next issue will kind of be a little bit more climactic than these have kind of been lately.
Yeah. Let's move on to Dawnrunner here.
Okay, this is Dawnrunner number 3, written by Ram V. The artist is Evan Cagle. So I was going to drop this book.
Yes.
The only reason I'm reading it, the only reason I'm talking about it today is because this is what Sebastian made me read this week, because I actually had dropped it. I just didn't think the last issue was very good. But I do think, well, okay, I don't think this issue is amazing, but I do think it is a step up over the last one. In this one, we have a lot of, we see kind of more of the bonding between Anita and I think his name is Ichi.
I think so.
So it, with her kind of being linked into Dawnrunner and seeing his kind of past memories, it's a little bit unclear what's happening here, because it seems like her memories are kind of bleeding over into his, because in this, like, there's kind of a big thing about he's able to find his kids and save them and get them out of there, and they're kind of traveling across the country and trying to find refuge at this kind of military outpost or something. Yes. But at the end, we do get a point where she's talking to like her handler as part of her Dawnrunner handler, and we don't get a definitive answer on this, but Anita mentions Ichi's kids, and this other person, her name's Kat, I believe, says like, what are you talking about, like his kids? And then an alarm goes off and interrupts them. But it sounds like his kids probably actually died, and this is a false memory, maybe planted because of Anita's own kid. So that's one thing. It's also a little bit unclear, like, whether she's just kind of talking to the memory of him, or if she has actually, like, time traveled back and is talking to him. Because he seems very unfazed by all of this. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck is happening if a ghostly voice is just talking to me the whole time? But so there's that angle of it, and then there's also, as a result of this, Anita gets much better. Like, her link with Dawnrunner strengthens, and so she's like doing these crazy maneuvers with it that no other, IK pilot is able to do. She's taking down all these Tetsa, and there's like, the CEO is being a little bit shady. Like, he knows that she's been running tests with Dawnrunner, but he's also like, yeah, just let him keep doing it. Just like observe. Don't let them know we know. It's making her a better pilot, and that'll, help us make more money or something. And then, at the end of that, like I said, that alarm cuts off Anita and Kat when they're talking, and it's because there's they translated what the Tetsa are saying to each other, and they're calling for help, and then it ends with a big new Tetsa coming out of the sky and coming to kill them all, presumably. So I do think this is definitely better. There's some really cool, like, artistic moments as well. The first couple of pages, like, look really cool. In particular, I think I liked the bonding between Anita and Ichi. I liked the kind of montage showing Anita getting better and taking out all these Tetsa. I liked the tease at the end about the new Tetsa coming through, and maybe enough that I will pick up the next issue again. Ultimately, like, it is kind of there's only 2 issues of the series left. It's a pretty short series, so I may just get to the point where I'm like, may as well. I'm not entirely sure yet, though. So, but regardless, I do think it's definitely a step up. Not amazing. I wouldn't say I really loved any point of this issue, but I also don't think I really disliked any of it. I think I just kind of generally kind of liked it across the board. I thought it was decent enough, but nothing kind of super amazing. So I don't know, better than the last issue, but still not kind of amazing. I still think the first issue is the best. It's developing at a nice pace. I think with us, like, we're getting more info on the the whole, like, I don't remember the word they used on this one, but like her going into Dawnrunner, like connecting. Yeah, this whole Ichi thing and Anita thing. I mean, we do definitely get a bit of that because when she was talking to Ichi at one point, he specifically says, like, I can see you sometimes, like in the mirror out of the corner of my eye,
stuff like that. And then also, like, I think it was like towards the beginning, I want to say, it was when she like first dove back in with the scientist dude, right? Like, he had to pull her out because I guess they're like, their minds were getting, like, what was it? Like, they're like crossing too much or something like that.
Yeah, right.
How is he explaining that?
Something.
And
like that, yeah.
If they like crossed like too close together or whatever, like connect too closely, then he like basically like won't be able to pull her out, I think is what it is. Like, at that point, like, the system will be able to differentiate her mind from like Dawnrunners, and so he won't be able to pull her out. So that's why he had to do that. And so, I mean, as far as I know, that hasn't happened again after that first time.
No, yeah.
But yeah, just I think I'm really liking this one specifically for the whole. It's not even like a mystery really behind it. It's because we know he was Dawnrunner's pilot like way before Anita was.
And well, he wasn't Dawnrunner's pilot. He is Dawnrunner.
I thought he was a pilot.
No, I don't think they even had Iron Knights or Iron Kings back then.
Okay. See, I thought he was a pilot that they are just using like dead pilots parts for the new ones, not just like random ass peoples, you know?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely like a military dude because he knew about the military base and everything. I just didn't know if he was actually an Iron King pilot or if he was just kind of in a prototype, like fighting the Tetsa, and they just took his body when he died or something. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Okay, in that part, I'm not sure either. I thought he had something to do with Dawnrunner, but I'm probably wrong there in that case. Then no, that's pretty much it. Just the new Tetsa coming into play here. With the other Tetsa, communicating and whatnot. And so we'll see how the new Tetsa fares against Dawnrunner, or really how Dawnrunner fares against the new Tetsa in the next one, coming issues. But overall, I've been enjoying these. Art-wise, I'm still not it still doesn't completely draw me in sometimes.
Yeah, it goes. It's like back and forth. When it's good, it's really good, but sometimes it's really hard to tell what's happening.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly I think I've said this before, but for me, the battle scenes are what's like super hard to tell. But then the other scenes are they're super clear and concise. But so for me, it's like the art's okay, but I've been really enjoying the story for what it is so far. So I gave this one a 7.
Gave it a 7 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna go over and talk about the Six Fingers number 4 here.
Yeah.
This is the second to last issue of this series. It is written by Dan Waters, and the artist is Sumit Kumar. God, I really do not remember like much of anything about this issue. I don't know. He knows the code now. I know he goes to visit Helena with the plan to kill her, but then he's like, ultimately he's like, I don't want to kill her. I don't want to kill people. He does say something like he thinks he was supposed to have been caught by Ari by this point, and like the city like wanted him to get caught, but then like he kind of became conscious, and so then he was able to kind of avoid it. He also says something about like the city being about like, I think the city, it seems like the city's kind of alive and is its own character in this, and so so he kind of he's woken up now. He wants to just like for a lot of this. Ada is talking about how like they should just leave, like they can just leave the city, go somewhere else, just hang out there, just the two of them. I don't know. He talks to Helen, and he's like, I don't actually want to kill you. And then he says something like, don't you know what you are? Because I guess she's a cog, I'm pretty sure. I think we know that already.
Oh.
And then she's like, do you know what you are? Implying that he's maybe also a cog, which I think I had maybe theorized that as well last issue. So there's that, and then he's going back to Ada. He like calls her. He's like, okay, let's actually. I've changed my mind. Let's leave the city now. Except this is after Ari has gotten to her. So that's kind of what I remember of it. It's definitely my least favorite issue of the series so far. Actually, I don't think it was great. It's still fine, but this kind of did feel the most like it kind of didn't quite have the momentum that some of the previous ones had. It did kind of feel this one felt more like they needed to just hold off. Maybe there was too much story to just wrap it up in one more issue, but it kind of feels stretched out a little bit much over 2 more issues. Or maybe like because the one hand is planned to be 5 issues, then this one kind of had to also fit with a 5-issue structure, and as a result, this one didn't have much to fill it with. I don't know. Regardless, though, I do think this is definitely the least favorite of the series so far. It's by no means terrible. It's still definitely totally fine, but I didn't end up loving this one, and I ended up giving it a 7.
Well, anyway, moving along then. Let's go with Green Arrow here.
Green Arrow number 12, written by Joshua Williamson. A couple artists on this one. We have Phil Hester, Eric Gapster, and Sean Izachi. This felt rushed to shit.
Honestly, I read this in like a minute. I swear
it took me like 4 minutes to read this. Because yeah, it starts out Malcolm and Ollie are fighting, or Ollie's fighting all the hard light holograms.
Yes.
He's like, I can't do this, but don't worry, all my Green Arrow family's also here, and they all come in as backup. So then they're all fighting everybody, and then Dinah is able to use her Black Canary shriek to disable all the holograms and everything.
Yep.
And then Oliver and Malcolm have a bit of a 1v1. Oliver wins, obviously. And then they all play volleyball on the beach. They go back to Lian because that's where Roy's daughter is. So Ollie takes them there to reunite them all. And they have a nice little family reunion on the beach where they play some volleyball.
Volleyball, yep.
And that's pretty much it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it is, but someone brings up Waller and all these later. They're like, yeah, we'll worry about that another day.
Yeah.
I don't really want to think about her right now. I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that's a pretty big problem we should be worrying about right now. Yeah, man. This one was just a big pile. Just like, why? I don't not why really, but just like seriously, you could read this so fast. Like,
yeah, it's super quick. Yeah.
So fast. Yeah, pretty much nothing else to say about it besides that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. It's fine. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was decent enough. I thought the fight wasn't great. The fight wasn't great. It was all just so strange. Like the fight was like half the issue, but like nothing fucking happened in it, and then it's just half an issue of them just hanging out on the island. It's just like, I don't know. It's just kind of nothing. It does feel like a kind of weird. I don't know if they're planning to kind of revisit any of this story. I guess like Daigle shows up again briefly
to take Malcolm away.
Yeah, it's I don't know. So I don't know if there's going to be any like more kind of continuation of this story at all, or if they're just going to do more. If they're just going to lead straight into that. I mean, obviously they're doing absolute power stuff next, but I don't know if after that they're just going to do a different story entirely or what. But I
mean, I would assume right, because like this felt like the end of this arc, right? Where he's constantly chasing down his family, And
actually really the end of like the first 12 issues just kind of wraps up pretty much everything. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because at the start of this kind of second half of this part of the run, right, from issue number 7, I remember I really liked like 7, 8, and 9. I thought they were really strong issues, and it was felt nice and grounded again, and Green Arrow doing kind of neighborhood stuff. But these past couple issues just been kind of, I don't know, it's just been kind of whatever, I think, ultimately. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Joshua Williamson is just writing too many books right now or what, but this just didn't really, I don't know. It just felt like a weird issue.
Oh, certainly weird. Honestly, I don't even know what to give this. Like
I had it wasn't really. I'm gonna drop it to a 6 though.
It wasn't bad, but honestly, I think I'll agree with you that I'll give it a 6 as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to move on to the last one that I read that Sebastian did not read, which is Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, number 2. I thought this was great. Yeah, it's written by Dan Waters and Ram V, and the artist is Matthew Roberts here. So this is very much picking up straight after the end of the last one. Kate has survived. She's alive. She got saved from the river where she was drowning, and she's now recovering. And so... so they kind of go into the jungle again and kind of search for, again, the serial killer. Now, obviously, none of them know yet that it's the creature from the Black Lagoon. Kate has seen it, but she thought she was hallucinating because, again, like when you kind of have that oxygen deprivation from being in the ocean so long, a lot of times you can have like hallucinations and stuff like that stuff. It fucks with your brain, and so like it can. She just kind of assumed it's a hallucination. But then in this issue, her and Dr. Thompson and the person who saved her, they all go into the forest. They see the serial killer in there, as well as that they run into like a group of narcos who are kind of like also being like they're kind of working with the serial killer, and I guess he's kind of been like training them to be like more efficient killers as well or something like that. And so they're all there. The creature shows up and kills all of them. It's a big bloodbath. It absolutely kills all of them. I think except the main serial killer. I think he survives, but like all the narcos die. And then so Kate and everybody else they get out of there. And then Kate sees the creature comes to like visit Kate in the middle of the night. They kind of have a little stare down through the window. And then the creature runs off, and that's where the issue ends. So yeah, just like very, very good. I'm really digging these Universal Monsters books here. I think obviously Dracula was great all the way through. This one we're halfway through, and it's fantastic right now. Still, I think the art looks really great. I think it works really well for this story. I think outside of this story and the context in this story, I don't know if it would necessarily gel with me, but I think the style works really, really well for this. It is also definitely like after this issue, it's very clear that they are just going with the fact that yes, the creature is absolutely there. I do think that it doesn't show up a lot in this issue, so it is still kind of playing that the same way as a lot of the other issues have, where rather the same way as Universal Monsters Dracula did, where we don't actually see much of the creature. But I thought that this might have, it's for a little bit, at least through the first issue and even some of this one, I thought that the way they might be spinning this is that they would play it ambiguously, so we never knew if the creature actually existed or if it was just a hallucination. But I mean, with how brutally it kills all the people in this, it's very much real. So yeah, it's really great, just absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this one, and I mean, loving these Universal Monsters books. I think I'm really excited for the next two or the next two issues of the series. And I gave this one a 9.
All right, yeah. Pleasantly surprised with that one because I remember you didn't really you thought the first one was like all right.
Oh, I loved the first one. What are you talking about?
I don't remember you saying that too much good stuff about the first one, honestly. Though.
I gave the first one an 8.
Yeah, an 8. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
We give a lot of 8s. I don't know.
Yeah. But for me, like 7 is like the average, right? That's like an average, or well, even not even. I put like 5 as like I liked the same amount as I don't like, right? So like 7 I think is good, 8 is very good, 9 amazing, 10 is like perfect.
Well, anyway, moving right along, Power Girl number 9.
Oh God. Okay, straight up.
All right.
First of all, it's written by Lee Williams. The artist is Eduardo Pansica. I think this might be my least favorite thing I've ever reviewed on the podcast.
Okay. Run it down for me. What did you dislike so much about this one? Because
everything.
I thought this one was better than the last issue we got.
Lots of people are saying that. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm just going fucking crazy, but this fucking sucked. I thought this was shit. It was like moving. The pacing was fucking ridiculous. It was all over the fucking place. The fight made like no sense. It was like jumping around. There's a weird point where it time skips for like an hour, and then it oh God, I just hated it. I thought it sucked. It's just most of it is that fight between Power Girl and Crush, who is the Zarnian that she fought in the last issue. Turns out she's not a bad Zarnian. She's just like a chill Zarnian, and she's like the only one. And so it's those two. There's a group of like, I don't know, fucking vigilantes, I guess. I don't remember what they call themselves. I've completely
forgot.
The
Halliday Girls or something. I
think exactly what it is. Yeah. I thought they were all really annoying. Their dialogue was like the most like just cliche young person dialogue. It was just driving me insane. Everybody was just throwing out the most like generic cliche quips at each other. They did explain at least the weapon. I guess it just makes metal alive that the Zarnians had. It like turns metal into alive things. They do it to a cash register.
Yeah, they do it to a giant statue.
They do it to a pinball machine.
Pinball machine.
Yeah. So all of that I thought was terrible. I think the Zarnians were all really annoying. Crush was fine, I guess, but very generic, it felt like to me. And I thought the fight was paced terribly. Again, they beat the fucking Zarnians, and then they go inside the bar and they're like, let's chill here. And then more Zarnians come and they do more of a fight and they all lose this time, I think. I don't know.
Oh, so it was, Power Girl, it left off from the Power Girl Crush, fight after the last issue, right?
Yeah. And
that's when the rest of the gang comes in, right? She explains to Power Girl that, Crush isn't a bad guy or whatever. So that's when they go in and start drinking at the bar. Then we cut to the other Zarnians, the ones that are actually bad and causing mayhem and chaos with their weapons that turn metal shit alive, I guess. It does stuff. I don't know if it's specific to metal or if it's just anything it shoots. Is it specific to metal?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah. They turn if they shoot it, it turns the metal bits alive. They did it to a cash register. They did it to I'm gonna call it like a beef boss thing. What? I don't know.
What is a beef boss?
I don't know. Beef boy.
What?
Beef boy. Yeah.
What is a beef boy? No. Don't say yeah.
No, what is the freaking famous burger, man? Yeah, the beef boy.
Beef boy.
Beef Boy?
Oh, no. You mean Big Belly Burger.
Big Belly. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is a Beef Boy? Right.
Jeez.
Yeah, the like statue,
Yes.
emblem for them. You told me you just can't you just kept saying like, yeah, they turned the Beef Boy. I'm like, what is the Beef Boy? You're like, I don't know what the Beef Boy is. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying Beef Boy for then?
It's the Big Belly Burger.
Okay. I understand what you said. What you mean now? Okay.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah, that was running amok or whatever, and then they were stopped. They were gonna stop by the bar to have a drink when Power Girl comes out and punches them in the face. That's when they start fighting. She fights outside. They make it inside, and that's when the Holiday Girls were just having their drinks, and then the bartender was like, "You guys gonna handle this?" They're like, "Fine, we'll handle it." And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna be in the back." And so they go and start fighting them. Crush is outside with Power Girl. That's when they try to go back inside, realize that the Holiday Girls are now hostages. So Power Girl has to pull Crush out of there so they can like figure out how to save them whilst also kind of like saving the city from the mayhem that they caused, the other Zarnians caused. That's what it was. I don't know where you're getting this whole time skip hour bit.
No, because so I think I think it must have been, because I remember they have a fight outside, and then they're like, okay, let's go inside and hang out, and then they like, Power Girl explains everything to them, and then there's another fight that happens, and I was just like, oh god,
Yeah.
and I think what it was is that it's also like, why bother with the whole Beef Boy part when they only like. It took Power Girl like 10 fucking seconds to take it. She just like fucking took its head off in one go. Why even add it in there then? Like, what? It's a weird pacing mechanism. It just.
I mean, like, okay, well, so all the other Zarnians, like, their whole like bit was to just cause chaos, and that's what it was doing for everybody, obviously, but Power Girl, because she could easily take it out.
Sure, from a narrative perspective, it's like, why would you include that if it's so easily overcome? It just feels like such
to distract her.
It
gave the other people time to kidnap the Holiday Girls.
Sure, but I just think like it's very unsatisfying to be like, okay, there's gonna be a big fight between them, and I was like, okay, cool, let's see this big fight, and then it's just like, nope, it's just over, and then she just goes back anyway. It just felt like such a from the Zarnian's perspective, I guess it makes sense, but as a reading experience, it's not fun to read. It's just like, this felt pointless. So I don't know. I hated everybody in this. I hated all the dialogue. I thought everybody was extremely annoying. I thought the fight pacing was all over the fucking place. It just felt like such padding. The page count a lot of the time. Yeah, I just thought it was awful. I hated it. There was only one thing that I kind of didn't hate, and that was the lion cliffhanger where the lion's there.
Really?
And was like, I'm gonna fucking kill Power Girl now.
I thought that was the worst part.
That was the only part that I was interested in.
Why are they dredging up that past storyline when it was like kind of resolved and they didn't talk about it for so long, even giving us this stupid ass like other world night issue with Power Girl and fucking Supergirl, and then they're bringing it up now at the end of a fucking event thing. Dude, I thought that was so dumb. I thought that part was dumb. God.
Yeah, I that's the only thing that made me intrigued at all. That's the only thing where I was like, okay, this wasn't completely fumbled. So yeah, I thought this sucked. This is like I gave us a 2 out of 10. I'm pretty sure this is the lowest I've ever rated anything on this show. I've rated things 3 before. I don't think I've ever rated anything a 2. So I thought this sucked. I didn't like it at all.
I still don't think this is Power Girl. This is one of the best issues of Power Girl. I did like this one better than our last issue. I thought that last issue was just boring and just not just bad. This one wasn't
boring,
as bad.
But it made sense.
This one wasn't as bad. This one wasn't boring by any means. This one made sense.
To be fair, I wouldn't call this boring. I just thought it was insane.
Insane. I could give. It was a lot of stuff to the point in the end where I don't think any of it's gonna matter really.
Great.
But I mean, it's a tie-in.
I'm so glad I read it then. Yeah.
It's a tie-in, so I don't know. Whatever. I gave it a 6.
Yeah, 2. I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Ultimate Spider-Man here so we can end with the Bloodhunt stuff. This is Ultimate Spider-Man Number 5, written by Jonathan Hickman. The artist is David Messina. Martin Tichetto is going to be back with next issue, so I'm very excited for that. As far as this one goes, this one's all about the origin of Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin. So we have it. It starts out with we get to see another look at the actual point where Tony Stark, in quotes, but really the Maker and his council, blew up the city, killing Norman Osborn. So both of Harry's parents died in that explosion, and then that kind of is essentially Harry's Uncle Ben getting shot. Great power, great responsibility.
Yeah, thing. Pretty much.
Although instead of like radioactive spider powers, his power is money. So he's just like, well, let's fucking work with this. So he gets a call from Kingpin to show up, where essentially Kingpin offloads all of Stark Industries onto Harry Osborn. So he gets all the tech, and he also gets all the data. So in that process, he finds out about the Maker's Council. He finds out about the whole thing of the Maker fucking up the universe and making it so that nobody gets powers in the universe. And so he ends up through that. That's why he repurposes that tech with Otto Octavius to make his Green Goblin suit here. And then so we see kind of, other angles on some of the events from previous issues. So we see like right after the Shocker kicked Peter's ass, then Green Goblin came in. Green Goblin just ultimately asked for the suit initially, but then Shocker was like, no. And then Shocker tried to like fucking punch out Green Goblin. And then it didn't work, and then he tried to pull the like, please, no, I have a starving wife. That was a fun little bit. Revisiting that was fun. And then this is also how he ended up finding Peter, because when Tony goes and delivers all the tech and the powers and everything back to the people who are supposed to have them, Harry is able to see that, like all the signals start lighting up and going off once that tech gets activated. He has kind of access to all of that, and so that's how he's able to go and find Peter. That's how he found the Shocker's costume, because that was also supposed to be given to somebody else. We don't see who it is. That's probably smart, because I think they want to make sure they don't have to like limit themselves with characters by like definitively saying like this character's dead here. So so that's how he finds him, and we see their first kind of conversation at the bar, and then we also see then it catches up to the present right at the end, where Harry has captured Harry has captured Bullseye. And we see a little bit of like the actual like 616 Green Goblin side in him, just a little bit, because he seems very willing to torture Bullseye if he needs to.
Yeah.
But then that's where that ends. So I think this is I think this is one of the weaker issues of the series. I didn't love it. I thought it was fine, and I understand again why we would want to have Harry's origin here. I get that. I do think though, flashing back to this point and seeing the origin in this way. And having this kind of happen, in the middle of this arc, I do feel like it kind of killed some of the momentum just a little bit. And in a way that I actually don't even think the last issue killed the momentum, even though that didn't end up really progressing the story forward at all. I do feel like that conversation with everybody in the present was still kind of building up some character relationships within each other. And I think the conversation was interesting and flowed. And I felt like there was momentum within that conversation. And so that made me feel like there was momentum within the issue, which meant that there kind of, again, translated to me feeling that there was still some carrying forward of momentum in the series as a whole, even though it did definitely cut it back from the previous issues in terms of momentum. This one kind of felt like that grinded a lot of that to a halt. I do feel like a lot of this information is nice to have. I think it all makes sense. It is very well plotted. I think it's structured in a way that makes sense and feels very natural. But in terms of the plot itself for me, I do feel like it just kind of dropped things back a little bit momentum wise. I do feel like it was a little bit less engaging for me as a result of that. And so this ended up not being my favorite of the series. I didn't like this quite as much as most of the others so far.
No, I agree with you. For me, this one definitely took a step back, slowed down a bit. Like, by no means was it bad, but it's definitely not my favorite of the series so far.
Yeah.
And like you said, nice to see Harry's like becoming this universe's Green Goblin and stuff. I'm not sure if they could have changed anything really to like, because like I was thinking maybe if they didn't go as in depth into like his story of how he became Green Goblin, maybe they could have done something right. Because like I really like the scene in the bar where that we were supposed to get, but we got that dinner scene instead, realistically. Right. So I did kind of like the bar scene, And it was nice to know that, like, okay, this is how, Norman, like, his mom and his dad died in this
Right.
universe.
I mean, we did
And
know that. We knew that from the Ultimate Universe one shot, I believe.
did we?
Yeah, we knew they were dead, and we knew they died in the explosion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I didn't
Yeah.
remember that. And I guess it's nice to see kind of how he got to know Kingpin in a sense. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it slowed down a lot. I guess it's nice to know that how he got his suit wasn't through like the same way like Peter got his suit,
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like you were supposed to have this. No, it's just
Right.
like he came across it
Yeah.
like per chance. And yeah, the same thing with like Shocker as well. Like he was never really supposed to find the gauntlets. He just was
He was
robbing
robbing a
some
guy.
dude. Tony, he saw the mess. Soccer saw Tony, whatever, blah blah blah, and so that's how he came across those gauntlets. I thought that was pretty funny as well. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this still one of the best Ultimate series
I
still
agree.
so far, just in general. Even with this one being like lackadaisy, the other four we've gotten have certainly made up for it, honestly.
Yeah.
And so first to have gotten one that's like not even bad, just slower
Right.
paced and
Yeah.
just kind of like, all right, definitely fine. It seems like the next issue will possibly be getting Spider-Man versus Kingpin, possibly.
Yep.
I don't know.
That cover is so cool.
Yes, really good. Yeah, we'll see how this one goes on. Do you think in the end that Harry and Peter are gonna stay friends?
I don't know. I think before this issue, I would have said definitely yes, but I do think it's possible they're going to kind of break down that relationship with Harry kind of being a torturous lunatic potentially.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna say as well. Like, I think before this, yes, I would have said yes as well. But with the way that I feel like Harry doesn't draw a line, and like
Yeah,
what Peter
right.
does, and so like with him like crossing it and stuff, Peter will in the end will be like, okay, we gotta rethink some things, and Harry's not gonna want to and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, like I said, not the best, but not the worst by any means at
Yeah.
all. And so I gave it a 7.
I'm giving this one an 8. I do think, like, to your point, I don't think they really could have done this any differently. You couldn't have put this like early. I don't think you could have put this earlier in the series, and I don't think you could really change much about the issue itself. So it's not on that level, but I do think it still kind of stalled things out a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, it's time for the Blood Hunt block. This is Black Panther Blood Hunt #1. Written by Cheryl Lynn Eaton, and the artist is Fareed Karami. Great cover by Andrea Sorrentino as well. Dope as hell. So this one is kind of strange. I feel it's a little bit all over the place, actually.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's doing too much. I think that's the problem. It's doing too much because it has like it starts with T'Challa's back in Wakanda, and he's trying to like ask Bast for help, but Bast is like, Bast or like like some other Panthers that are kind of in service to Bast are like, fuck you, you're tainted with vampire blood, and now you're in Wakanda, and you're gonna contaminate Wakanda as well, and so he's running from that, and he kind of goes back to Bast as well at some point, and this is the thing that kind of is going throughout the issue. Then there's also like him just trying to like go and help citizens of Wakanda.
Yep.
While he's vampirized. There's a point where Shuri pops up and lets him drink her blood because so he doesn't have to drink the blood of anybody else. Then there's also like Blade is asking him to like go and find this temple for him that he needs for his plan, and like all of this is too much, I think, for one issue. I think like pick two of these, like pick T'Challa going to Bast for help, and him trying to save the citizens of Wakanda. Pick him trying to save the citizens of Wakanda, but like he's not, but he and still trying to fight the going to find the temple. Like pick two of these things. You don't have to throw all of them in here because it just feels overstuffed and it's jumping around so much. Also, like, I don't know where this temple storyline is going to go, because I don't see why you would introduce that if it doesn't come into play later. But also, I do not see a believable way to have T'Challa actually go and search for this, because he just does not seem like he's too strong-willed for that. There's no way he would fucking do that. So I that feels like such a weird plotline to throw in there. I just thought just like Jeanette's blade in here somehow, but at the same time, it doesn't. If you introduce it and then do nothing with it, it's gonna feel very strange and unsatisfying. But if you I just don't see a way that you can follow that storyline through because of, T'Challa as a character. I feel like it'd be so out of character for him to actually agree to do that. So yeah. I don't know. I know I glossed over a lot of plot stuff. That's just I don't remember a lot of the individual details. But I just think like overall just overstuffed and kind of a weird, not terrible. It was fine. I wasn't bored reading it. The art's okay, but it was just a very strange and I feel like too jumpy aroundy issue for me.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Probably am. But is this the same writer that did the Black Panther comic?
It is not. It is not.
It's not. Well, yeah. It certainly felt like that, honestly. Yeah. So, okay. My problem with Bloodhunt at this point going forward, honestly, is we're not getting a lot of background into what actually happened to the Avengers after that initial Avengers comic. Like, when in that comic did it and at this point, I'm going back to last week's issues of Bloodhunt. Yeah. When did it show Iron Man, Sam, and Captain Marvel escaping the Blood Coven?
It didn't. I'm assuming that.
Okay.
It showed how Sam did, because T'Challa teleported him out of it. So maybe he just got all.
Fair enough. He did get Sam out. Not Iron Man and not Captain Marvel, though. The next, right, Black Panther. Last we saw, he was literally got like shredded by Blade, right? Now all of a sudden he's in Bast Temple. Now, obviously, I'm assuming Blade put him there, right? Because he needs him there. Right. But I doubt he put him exactly in Bast Temple, right? So for him, one, he still has got his mind somewhat intact, right? Yeah. Like, T'Challa still has his mind somewhat intact. So that's why he goes to Bast for help to like try to get rid of the whole vampirization thing before he like completely loses his mind or whatever. Yeah. That's fine, I guess. I don't like how it's just like all of a sudden we have to just assume all these things, like, okay, we're assuming this is how this went down. I don't know, man. I don't like doing that stuff. I like it better when it's just explained and shown or something, But anyway, let me think. What else? Oh, T'Challa also possibly has some of Blade's power of like influence, I guess.
Right. Yeah, they do mention that.
That's the thing that happened. He basically commanded a bunch of people in the temple to like basically stop attacking him because I don't know. He's banished still from Wakanda, right? That's why they were attacking him in the first place?
I guess so. Yeah, I think so.
Right? Because at first I was like, okay, wait, he's their king. Why are they attacking him? They're like treating him like an outsider, but like he's clearly wearing the Black Panther monocle. Like, right. But I don't know. Anyway, but that's at the same time, he also, when he's like telling him to stop, he's like, I'm your king, so maybe he's not banished. I don't fucking know, man. It's all super weird. Let me think. He attacked some giant insect thing. I don't know if that was supposed to be a vampire. Right, that was the other problem that I forgot about. Yeah, I think it seems like it must be a vampire, but it also doesn't really look like one. It just looks like a generic demon. Like I forgot. She was like, I'm a something for something. It was like I swear it was like some sort of god or something. Yeah, that was the other part I forgot. That was the other plot line that I forgot about, where I was like, again, like that's 4 fucking plot lines with the other 3. Yeah. Pick 2 of them. Why do we need this? Like. Yeah. And so that's when, after he defeats that thing, he was about to like bite the neck of a citizen. That's when Shuri comes in and like cuts open her hand so he can drink from her hand rather than like him biting her and like turning her, like, that brings him back to his senses a little bit. And so I guess whenever he drinks blood, he like regains like the thirst for blood is what really like takes over his mind. It's kind of like Marvel Zombies actually in that way, where after they eat, they have kind of more of themselves back. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like when the hunger comes, that's when they start losing themselves again. And so I guess his solution to this problem, and really like the Blade problem of like Blade wanting him to do whatever, to go to that temple or whatever, is to basically banish himself again to the wilderness. I'm not liking these Black Panther standalones. I really don't like them that much. Yeah. I didn't like the last one. Not really. I didn't really enjoy this one that much either. I'm gonna be honest. I will say the one standalone is the Ultimate Black Panther, which I don't really mind at this point. Yeah. All in all, I didn't really like it. Thought it was kind of boring, honestly, and they doing too much. Yeah. So I think I'll give it a 6.
I'm giving it a 6 as well.
Yeah, there we go.
And that'll lead into the final issue of the week, which is Midnight Sun's Blood Hunt. And actually, I take back what I said about Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon being my page of the week, because it's actually this. I just forgot that this was a thing this week, but I fucking love it.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought this was great. It's written by Brian Hill, and the artist is Herman Peralta. So this one is like a perfect. This is the literally the only Blood Hunt mini series so far where I've been like, yes, give me more of this. I'm glad this is 3 issues. I want to see more of this. And now I just want Brian Hill to just write a Midnight Suns book, just full stop. Because this is the same writer as the Blade solo series that just wrapped up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of continuing that a little bit. You see a little bit more of that story progressing. We have in this one, it starts out with Blade calling like a bunch of his old vampire hunting buddies to like a diner where he just kills all of them. But again, now we kind of know, we know for definitively that this is not Blade doing this. Like this is definitively something that's possessed him or something. Because we do see him kind of crying a little bit after he, killed everybody. So clearly
and he was acting like before he started killing everyone, he was acting a little weird too.
Yeah, clearly like he is still in there, but he is not in control.
Yes. So
then we get to the assembly of the team. This team being, we've got Ghost Rider. Well, we got 2 versions of Ghost Rider actually. Yeah. We got Danny Ketch and we got Johnny, but Johnny does not currently have the Spirit of Vengeance. I am not caught up on the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider stuff right now. I'm not that far behind, but I am a little bit far behind. Right now he does not have the Spirit of Vengeance because that is currently the Hood has the Spirit of Vengeance, and so Johnny, as they say in this one, he just has a shotgun that can shoot hellfire, which is so fucking metal. It's awesome. Fucking love that. It's so cool. And then we also have Tulip in this as well, she was a very prominent player in the most recent Blade series. So she goes to recruit Danny and Johnny. She gets pen and stared by Danny so that he's willing to join the team. And so essentially she's like, yeah, Blade's acting out of character. He would want us to kill him if he is no longer in control, if he's turned to the dark side, whatever. So they go over there. And, Johnny and Danny are like, okay, we'll help you. Just help us do this mission first. And so they have a really cool, like, little heist they do of an armored truck full of vampires. Yep. It's just cool, man. I just love, like, I'm a big fan of Danny Ketch as Ghost Rider. He does not get very much play, but I like him. I don't know if he's my favorite Ghost Rider, but I think he's very cool. I like Danny. It's always just good to see him, like, doing stuff in the Marvel Universe. I like that a lot. And then, yeah, after they successfully, take down the vampire caravan. Then we cut to some country. I think it's in the Middle East. And then
seemed like it.
Yeah, we have Vittoria Montesi, who is a character I am not familiar with, but she's there and she goes and like exorcises a demon by like summoning Lilith to like help her out. And so she's gonna join the team next issue. Presumably because she goes and talks to, I think it's Johnny at the end she's talking to.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, and so he kind of recruits her. So I just thought this was fucking cool, man. It was like it was badass. It was like dark. The art was great. It had this great sense of atmosphere and really cool, like some cool, just big, bombastic Ghost Rider moments. It was just awesome. I just loved it. I thought it was really, really so great. And again, like, kind of surprised me a little bit because I have been growing. Brian Hill has been growing on me. I didn't love the Blade series. I thought it was okay. I thought it was decent generally, but I think it was kind of up and down. There's a lot of fluctuation in that for me. He's also the writer of Ultimate Black Panther, which I think is good, but, hasn't had a super huge, like, standout moment for me. Yet this, though, I just thought was so good. I want him to write a Midnight Suns book now. And after this issue, because I talked about in the last Blade issue, if they relaunch it after this, which I think is a possibility with the same creative team, I didn't think I was going to read it because it would kind of signal to me that this is like a good jumping off point. I made it through that last Blade volume and I can just jump off because I wasn't loving that Blade volume. After this, though, I mean, if this is the quality of writing this guy's capable of, I'm going to pick up that next Blade series if it does end up happening and he is writing it. So just great. Loved it. This is like, I think of the... If we're not including the last issue of Vengeance of the Moon Knight, which I think is kind of barely a tie-in to this event, I would say this is my favorite Blood Hunt tie-in. And maybe even my favorite Blood Hunt issue, including the core issues. I thought this was just fantastic. Wow. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. No, I mean, this one was good. Definitely didn't like it as much as you did. That's for sure. I did like how we kind of have, like, definitive confirmation now that it's not really Blade doing all this. I mean, I didn't really think it was him to begin with, but having that like confirmation it's nice. What else? Yeah, really, Ghost Rider. Yeah, the Midnight Suns coming in to basically like deal with Blade, and like basically them just knowing Blade enough to the point where they're all like, yeah, there's no way that's Blade, but we have to kill him because he's gone too far. And like he's basically made us all swear that if he ever goes too far, we have to kill him. And like to the point where they don't. I mean, at this point they don't really hesitate, but who knows when they actually come face to face with them? But I mean, I don't see most of them hesitating, to be honest. Maybe if anything, Tulip maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they'll all pretty much kill him in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
because they know what they know. I think they know. They would want him to do the same thing if like they lost control in that, especially the two Ghost Riders. So I think they would have no problem with it. Yeah.
No, like that's what I'm saying. I think if anything, it'd be Tulip the most because she seems like the most human of them all.
Sure.
Like Johnny Blaze has been like he's been Ghost Rider before. We have the other Ghost Rider, the other one that summons the literal mother of demons. Like
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, if anything, it'd be Tulip to hesitate. But like, even that point, I'm just like, would she? Yeah, realistically, I thought this was pretty good. Definitely better than Black Panther. That's for sure. Not a bad tie-in. Glad to see we're probably gonna get more of Blade in this one. More of like his whole deal than these runs rather than some of the other ones. So that's kind of nice. And so overall. Not a bad one. I gave it an 8.
I gave it a 9. So, that would wrap up this episode of the show. Now, as mentioned, we are going to be on break for the next 2 weeks. So I actually don't think I'm going to go through and do my normal, this is what's coming out next week. So, but yeah, just, there's definitely there's good stuff in the next 2 weeks that everybody should be reading, but I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm not going to say everybody should be reading all of it, but I'm not going to, regardless, I'm not going to go through all of them, but the Ultimates is next week. So, there's some good stuff on the week of the 12th as well, but we were also not be covering that one. So, I'll just go into my normal, just, actual outro, which is to say, thank everybody for watching or listening as always, whether you be on YouTube or Spotify. If you're on YouTube, you can like the video and if you enjoy the video, and you can also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos and episodes of this podcast. And then you can also hit the bell notification as well if you would like to be notified when we post new episodes of the podcast as well, so that you don't miss any. And you can also leave us a comment if you would like to let us know what you're thinking about some of the recent comments. Let us know what some of your favorite comments are from the past little bit of bin. How you liking Blood Hunt? Am I crazy? Was Power Girl actually great and I just don't understand it?
Great. Okay, let us know. Great stretching it.
And then, you can also get in contact with us at our email address. That is earthsmightiestcomicsPod@gmail.com. All one word, that email address is. And you can also follow the show over on Spotify as well, so that you can make sure you're not missing any episodes on there as well. So yeah, again, thank you everybody for watching / listening, and we'll see you in the next one.